Hey everybody, and welcome to Tribal Trades, the daily show coming at you from the great state of Florida. And wherever you are tuning in from around the world, I want to welcome you to the channel. Thanks for tuning in, and those of you who have been watching this channel for a while, you know exactly what I'm going to say. I'm going to say smash that like. That helps get this content out to more people. Really does help support the channel, and I do appreciate you taking the time to do that. All the comments that I get on the channel and the comments below, really do appreciate all the kind words and encouragement. And as always, I do look to get back to those questions as quickly as I am able to. Well, let's jump into the show. We've got the rate cut decision tomorrow. I think it's going to be 25 basis points. I don't think it's going to be 50 basis points. You've got to look at it like dry powder. They only have so much to deploy, and if they use too much dry powder, they can only go down to zero. So they want to use those wisely, and I think right now a 25 basis point cut seems to be something I'm leaning heavily towards right now. I would be truly shocked if they came out with suddenly a 50-point basis point, because then they would be almost admitting that they made a mistake in the last meeting by not cutting 25 basis points. So I do firmly think that it will be 25 basis points. I think that will cause the market to pump. And I do believe Jerome Powell is going to speak a few hours after. And it just seems every time that guy talks, the market just drops. And so we could see a little bit of a sell-off. All these people are going to go long and go FOMO, and then we could see a bit of a sell-off. So that's my prediction. The three things that I think are going to happen. Let's see what happens. The three things. I think there's going to be a 25 basis point rate cut. I think the market's going to pump off that. A lot of people are going to go long, and then I think the market's going to pull back and liquidate those longs. And it may jump back up again, of course, after it liquidates those longs. But I think that's what we're going to see tomorrow. Let's see if those predictions play out. What's your predictions? Let me know in the comments below what you think is going to happen. Do you think I'm on the money? Am I spot on? Or do you think something's going to happen a little bit differently? And if you do think something's going to happen a little differently, I'd like to hear your point of view. So please share that below in the comments. And as always, I've got stuff in the description of this video here. Awesome stuff, cheat sheet, absolutely free for you, with loads of educational videos, links, entries on coins, and then take profits as well. And of course, we've got the Stocks with Josh Discord link in the description below. If you have not signed up for the Discord, I highly recommend you do that. Those links below are in the description of this video. So I thought I'd start with something funny that I saw. I thought that was pretty cool here. Who buy the dip, and then you'll see this play out here. This is kind of like, are you the guy eating the banana? Yeah, or not. All right, so a little bit of humor for today. Now listen, all right, so we've got the sovereign adoption. The sovereign nation of Bhutan has been buying around 1.5 Bitcoin per day. They've amassed 13,000 Bitcoin. How has this gone? How has this gone unnoticed? This is just coming out right now. So that's pretty amazing when you think of it. And what happens when governments around the world start doing it? There's going to be a massive supply shock that's going to send the price of Bitcoin parabolic. And so that's very, very interesting there. Some news that came out. The Bitcoin USDT on the 4 hours, since we're in the business of spotting trends, 64,000 is calling. So there is a little bit of a trend on the 4 hour. And if we do see this play out, we could come back up. And that would obviously fill that CME gap sitting at around $62,000 as well. There is a CME gap down around 52 to 54. And I believe there was a new one created over the weekend. I shared about it yesterday as well. So there's just CME gaps appearing, and price just tends to move towards them like a magnet. Speaking like a magnet, this guy is a magnet for Bitcoin. He just wants to keep scooping up Bitcoin and never selling it. He's going to raise another 700 million to acquire additional Bitcoin. They just went and bought more Bitcoin. So he just continues to say it's never enough, never. I don't know if you've seen that movie, The Greatest Showman. I probably did a pretty bad job of seeing that. Okay, and so what have we got here coming up? Should we were worried about the CME gap? Yes, that's the CME gap to the downside. But certainly, it should be something that we are thinking, and maybe when we see the rate cut decision, a pump, and then maybe a drop down to the 54, 53 region. Possible. Of course, CME gaps, number one, don't always get filled. They do mostly get filled, and they don't always have to get filled right away or within a quick time frame. Sometimes they can take quite some time to fill. Let's see what shakes out with that one there. Certainly, the number of people sending the Bitcoin to exchanges just hit an 8-year low. Sellers are starting to run out of coins. Now, when Bitcoin is being flooded to exchanges, usually it's because they're planning to sell it. Otherwise, they wouldn't be sending the Bitcoin to exchanges. And so when we know that it's just hit an 8-year low, that means they're expecting that there's going to be a rate cut. They don't want to be selling their Bitcoin. They think now we're going to be continuing up from here. That's generally a very, very good signal. If the smart money, if the whales, if the big money have moved the Bitcoin off exchange, they're sitting in cold storage, generally they're not really concerned about a further dump to the downside. And this is where just so much FUD and fear mongering out there about, oh, we're going to 42. And look, maybe we can. The yearly open, Bitcoin does like to retest that, but we don't have to. And as I've said numerous times on my channel, that is the least likely scenario that we would see play out. And we saw it go the opposite way. When other people were calling for it to go down to the 40s, I was calling for it to go up. And what did it do from 52,000? It went up just as I said it would. So I've given you some pretty good, accurate calls on this channel, and hopefully you've been able to take advantage of that. And then just lastly there, Bitcoin balance on exchanges just hit an all-time low in the last 5 years. Again, this is because everybody's moved them off exchanges. It means there's not a lot on exchanges to sell, and therefore we're in my opinion, remember, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. This is for education and entertainment purposes only. Are you not entertained, says the great Maximus Decimus Meridius from the movie Gladiator. But here's the thing. I can't remember what I was saying, because we're in the reaccumulation range. I've been saying that all along, ever since they're sell in May and go away. That goes into the reaccumulation range. But they dumped it in March, April dump. So that it got dumped early. Maybe we'll take off early. This could be your final chance, really, to get in. This could be it. If the rate cut comes in 25 bips, and the market goes, I might not come back. We might, and I am saying that I think there will be some kind of a pullback, but that could be the last chance. This could be it. And so I do want to say, don't sleep on thinking, it's going to come down in the 40s. What if it doesn't? Okay. Are you ready? Are you prepared for what's about to happen next? That should be the question. Is your portfolio ready to go to the moon, or are you going to be, I left some coins there behind and it's too late because the ship took off and we're off to the moon? Okay. So that's kind of what I want to make sure. And look, you always want to have a bit of dry powder for any that might come down. Certainly, you don't want to have so much dry powder that you're thinking, man, I really missed out. If you watched my video from yesterday, I showed you historically Bitcoin has taken off and not come back until the bear market sometime between now and about mid-October. And so wheels up, because we're about to take off if history repeats. All right, we're going to jump into the charts with Bitcoin. And so here we go. So around here, when everybody was calling for down to 40, whatever lower, I said this was likely the bottom. And that ended up being correct. And so far, September 6th has been the bottom for September. And I've said all along in my videos, giving you the data that in previous halving years, in every single halving year, the bottom has been in before September 8th. So far, September 6th, this would continue that trend. Now, where are we with Bitcoin? We're about to see the 50-day moving average hit the 200 EMA on the daily. And what are we going to see here? Well, there's a couple of things before we have a look historically when that's happened before, if we get a chance to, by the way. First of all, let's look here. What do I see here is when you saw it butting up without any long wicks, so there was no big sell pressure here, what happened? Boom. That's what happened. Okay? That's what happened there. You saw there were some long sell wicks, and what happened? Bang, down. It wasn't much of a drop, 59 down to 56, 57. But when we saw this, where it just clusters like this, and there's not a lot of long wicking, okay, you can see there's some longer wicks here, and we went down. That is quite close. Now, if we actually zoom out just a little bit here, and you see again here where there was long wicking, it kind of pushed price away. But then we got up here nice and close. Look at these closes, and I'm looking at the closes. I'm not just looking at the wicks here because we've got a couple of long wicks here, but look at the closes. The closes were right butted up against there, okay? And so we're seeing something similar over here where we're seeing these closes right up against the 200 EMA on the daily, okay? And so if you want to get on a trade on Bitcoin, you can front run it. You can jump in the trade right now, take this trade, and believing that it's going to pop up, retest the 50-day and the 200 EMA simultaneously, double whammy, and go off to the moon up to at least the 65K area here. Which, of course, what I could think could happen at the FOMC is the rate hike comes in, we pump to here, and then we actually come back, retest, and then off to the moon. That's one possible scenario here is that we go up, down, and then off to the moon, okay? And that's my most likely scenario. Anyway, let's see if that shakes out. But so we've got the 50-day and the 200 EMA there. And if we look back, when was the last time these two actually got together? And you can see that the last time they kind of got together, look what happened. Did it come down? Did it go down there a little bit? Yeah, it popped down and it ended up being the last buying opportunity. And then when they crossed, that was incredibly bullish and it took off. So let's see if we see something similar here where there's a lot of clustering around the 200 EMA, just like we're getting now, where we're seeing it butt up against price. It kind of pops over, doesn't it? And then it comes back down the 200 EMA before then taking off. And so this has generally been a very good buying opportunity. Okay, so if we come back over here, are we about to see something very similar here where we come back around it, maybe we bump up above it, come back below, and then off we go? Or is it just going to be the case that they're about to cross, or they cross and then off we go with the FOMC before coming back for a retest and off to the races? And remember, it might just shoot up a little bit, retest, and then go. It could shoot all the way up to here, then retest and go. And so this is really where, either way, you can make a couple of good trades here. If we bust above here, you can either take the trade, hope that we get up to here before we get a retest, and you can go in the trade, take profit, out of the trade as it comes back, and then off to the moon, setting a stop loss, having a stop loss under here if you wanted to manage your risk. But of course, if you're hodl accumulating, this could be the last opportunities here once Bitcoin takes off to the moon to get in on some of those altcoins that you're wanting to get in on, okay? So certainly there, we've got some interesting situation. Certainly if we do break down, let's just say the FOMC doesn't go as planned, or let's just see the 25 basis points doesn't give us much of a pump. It gives us a bit of a shoot, and we get a bit of a scam wick, and we come back down, retest, and break down below. Then obviously, as we come down here, we've got this 56 K area here. That would be my first area of support there to try and hold this candle back here that you see, back here in mid-August, and hold that candle, the low on that candle is 56.076. So we come back down into the 56K region. And then if we were to break down any further, then we're looking at that 54 region there, which would bring us into the CME gap, which is around 53 to 54 here. And this is where I see my second level of support. And if we were to further break down, which I think is much less likely, back down to that 51, 50 area there. But I think the more likely that if we lose the 200 EMA is the 56 and 54 as entries there if you wanted to place some bids right there. All right, that's going to wrap it up for today. Again, thanks for tuning in. And until the next one, which is going to be in a couple of hours, my altcoin show yesterday. And yesterday I gave a trade on the show, hitting to grab Tau at the 50-day moving average and entry there. And those of you got in that trade and I got in that trade, currently you'll be up big on that trade right now. So check out the altcoin show. I give entries every single day on the show. And so make sure you tune in a couple of hours. And until then, happy trading.